This idea goes back now more than 60 to 50 years. In 1961, Frank Drake, you're missing part of the picture here, but nothing's significant. Frank Drake used this antenna in West Virginia to point at a couple of nearby stars, hoping to pick up signals. This was the first experiment of modern SETI. And it was motivated by the work of a couple of physicists who at that time were at Cornell, I believe. And they had asked themselves the question, very simple question. Suppose you took the biggest radar set we had in 1959, the biggest radar transmitter, put it over here. Now take the biggest radar receiver and antenna and put it over here and aim them at one another. Of course, the receiver will pick up the transmitter, but now separate them. And how far apart could you get them and still pick up the signal in 1959? And the answer was light years, light years. So they wrote an article for Nature magazine. They said, look, it's only been 60 years since Marconi, and even we now can build equipment that can send bits of information from one star to another. The aliens that are out there that invented radio 100,000 years ago surely are filling the galaxy with broadcasts. Here's the galactic internet, or here's the weather report for the Sagittarius arm, or whatever. Alien porno, that's what I'm told. Whatever. And so all we have to do is listen, and we'll find it. So that's what began SETI. Now this is typical of one of the modern experiments. This is an antenna down in Australia, Parkes, Australia, just west of Sydney, that we use for most of the year, trying to eavesdrop on the aliens. We looked at about 750 star systems, 750, fewer than 1,000. So the fact that we haven't found anything, and we haven't found anything, that fact doesn't really mean anything. We've just, it's like somebody suggests there's this big continent called Africa, and maybe there are megafauna there. Maybe big critters that use their nose to pick up peanuts or whatever. And so you take an expedition to Africa, you land on the west coast, and you look at one city block of Africa, and you don't find any elephants, and you say, well, that's it, Ralph. There's no megafauna here. Right? Obviously, not a very sound conclusion. The same has been true of SETI. Let me show you what a signal looks like. This is actually taken right off the screen when we were observing in Puerto Rico at Arecibo. This is frequency. So this is just a small, tiny bit of the radio dial. So here's low frequency, high frequency. This is just time up here. But you see that signal. It's not very hard to see it. That signal is a transmitter. It's exactly the kind of thing we're looking for. It's at one spot on the radio dial, so we know it's made by a transmitter. It's not a pulsar. It's not a quasar. It's not hot gas, cold gas. It's not Jupiter, the sun. All these things make radio waves, but they don't make them in a narrow band.